only better.
That's what Nicole says.
Yeah.
Does it work?
Oh boy.
It do. Could be.
Now we're live.
You were definitely right, Walt. I had a lot of people who said you converted the lines for Mist, so they were very excited like that, and they all poked me. Why didn't you guys use the music? I'm like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Couldn't cross the streams.
Because what do you call it? Once I put that trailer together, or that bumper together, I sent it to a friend of mine, and I said, hey, just make sure I'm not violating any community standards with this. And he was like, all right, yeah, well, I'll check it out. And right before I sent you that message, he called me and he's like, hey, Twitch just did a massive update on their music rules. You can't use that You can't use that Mist music. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, really.
Well, they definitely called me on it, which was funny. So it was good. It was good.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good today. You did a good job.
Oh my goodness. You took it to another level, buddy. You brought in an actor. That was incredible. You changed us into creatures. I have to say, I'm very envious at how good this adventure was.
Well, I'm glad you guys had fun.
I'm going to have to work twice as hard now.
It was pretty funny. And I got to tell you, it's going to be Captain Kilgosha joins the stream and says, "How's the chaos?"
Yeah, really.
I don't know. We gotta talk to our Black Irish friend for that one.
I don't know why I thought, Michael, that you spoke German. That was in my head, and so when I talked to Eric, I said, "All right, why don't we make this a little weird for the party, and let's just address this in German." I know that there's 3 or 4 people in the group who speak it, so you can do everything. We have 4 standard languages that the guild members use: Japanese, German, stuff like that. And those folks who do it, they can rattle their spells off in the language. They can
Let's do Russian, Arabic, Hebrew, or Spanish, or English. I only speak bathroom German. Yeah.
Well, and that would have worked fine, but that's totally okay. It was better that we were trying to figure out, would Walt have to have done captions? Ultimately, we were just going to have someone cast tongues so that everyone could hear. But it's good that he just switched over.
Yeah, and he did it quickly too.
It was great. It was just great.
I got to tell you though, it was like being in one of those local haunted houses where you just have
I agree.
You just have a guy standing there not saying anything, and you're just like, all right, what's creepy dude's thing? And then all of a sudden he starts talking, and you're like, oh, it's the monk! Oh my god, this is it.
Yeah,
well,
this is it.
And I appreciate your patience for having to wait an extra week. That wasn't obviously my intention.
No,
I wanted you to have
it was
access to that. I didn't want to slow down the event because it could have been so. We were very curious to know if you were going to choose the Mastery of Crimson Hawk Order's historical knowledge. That part of the test would have been a nightmare if you were going to choose that.
I was like, nah, I have no chance on that one. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
It was good. So he had some funny questions to ask you if you had. So that would have been
good. Do you have any samples of one of them?
Sure. The first one would be, what is the sound of one hand clapping?
Philosophical questions.
What is the color of thunder?
Ooh.
So he had a whole list he had made to ask.
Now, are there official right answers?
Correct. There are correct answers to both of those. There are Buddhist interpretations, there are Chinese interpretations, but there are specific ones from game mechanics that are borrowed heavily from 2 very interesting books. If you ever read short stories by Zelazny, or if you ever looked at some very old H.P. Lovecraft stuff, they both address those questions kind of adroitly. The Trump thing that most people seem to ask me about was the character on the Trump. That was actually my son's very first character. That's why I took the name Dr. Phoenix, because it was his very first character's name. And so I modeled my wizard after his as sort of a goof. So he was going to come in and do this, but he just had to be out tonight. So I didn't have any way to pull off. I should have pre-recorded what would have happened on the Trump, but there were just too many variables. Right. But it would have been kind of fun because he was an old gamer a long time ago.
So is this more the style of your world multi, how that guy played? And
yes.
So give us just give us a rough sketch of for people who are kind of, they know that you run the longest running D&D campaign in history, and that you have, it's a private, it has all these things. It's private membership, and it's very, but your players are much more involved than just casually. Can you give the audience a rough sketch of that, of what goes on?
Yeah. Well, the Guilds of Warp, which is the Women Association of Role Playing, we were founded in '76. There are 8 different guilds. There are about 300 members, and we run 9 primary different campaigns, and these are campaigns all in the same world across multiple times. So that picture that I had displayed was one from the inside of my Manual of the Planes, and it was an image from the Road of Time, and it's where different ages play. So Jim plays in one of the campaigns. He plays in the Barrier Peaks tournament. That's sort of what the crew was known for in convention circles. And we usually run anywhere from 4 to 12 players per session. I run about 5 sessions a week. And these folks adventure in our world, which is basically comes from Moorcock's idea. And it was that there are multiple spheres in the universe controlled by law, chaos, and neutrality. And over time, the long picture compacted to a small number of worlds, spheres as they're called in our world, and people adventure around them trying to understand the history and what's out there. So I decided to throw in some Multean history to this. I didn't throw in a lot of our vocabulary, which is a little more complex. We use different words for people. Elves have a different word, dwarves have a different word, humans have a different word, and so people get used to that. Our spellcasters all invent their own spells like I do. They have to say their spells in whatever made-up language they do. Our clerics all sing and chant, so they write out all these details. All our characters who are spellcasters use spell cards, so they have to have the card with the specific spell they're going to use in hand presented before initiative. So we have a lot of complex things, but it tends to make for a pretty strong story. And because I've got timing down, we move. I was very interested to see if you guys got either bored or I was taking too much time, because you moved very quickly looking around and stuff. You left a lot of things out, which was interesting. I like knowing what you chose that was important to you and what stuff you ignored. You tweaked a lot of things.
Well, one thing I did notice that was just a stylistic difference that I actually thought was quite enjoyable was I don't think there was any dead air. I mean, the pace was quick. I mean, there wasn't any humming and hawing. It was like, okay, next and next and next and next. So we, I thought the pacing was really nice. So,
well, I appreciate that. I stopwatch everything. So I'll share my screen for a second just so people can see what I created the actual entire event, but every segment is timed, so I can determine, and of course you guys never went down, you only went up, so no one ever found the 4th level, but I had created all those. The 4th level had 2 people on standby who sat there the whole time waiting to see if they were going to get huge.
Oh, the poor dudes.
No. When we use people who have action, it's just in case, because one of the things that Walt and I talked about a long time ago was railroading. It's really a tough thing when you get dragged in a certain direction. And I like making sure I plan for lots of contingencies. And that's why I was very interested to see how you guys wanted to go. You really made your own decisions. And I thought the pace was good. And there was also some small level of dread, which I appreciated. Because the first level, hey, you were just getting all this free stuff. That's all good. Hey, JR made a brilliant move. You found Bagheera, got your hands on the cat. Errol was really excited about getting that back. He wanted that figurine. And nothing happened until Lance got hauled up to the 3rd level and given a whooping. So you guys did very well.
Oh my God, giants.
So how do you
Pyrohydras, Umber Hulks? I couldn't believe all the if I would have thrown those creatures at your group, They would have been screaming bloody murder. How unfair it was. Oh my.
Speaking of screaming bloody murder, how do you plan for a murder hobo player like James M. Ward, the legendary game designer?
So my rule of thumb is I take the total number of levels of the party and I use that as the basic number of hit dice that I work around. Then I choose what kind of things will make for a strong balanced encounter. The Doom Seekers are excellent at destroying things in about 2 rounds. 2 to 3 rounds is our standard fight. So what I wanted to look at was, how do I make sure I'm adding things into the fight so it doesn't end quickly? And 2, I wanted something that wasn't usual, that you hadn't seen. So I love John Carter as a kid. I love the John Carter series. And the Apt as a creature was a horrible description. It's never left my mind, even as a little kid. You know, I was, I think, 8 when I read John Carter. And the Apt as a work beast is perfect. You know, here's something that comes in with a natural 19 strength, has 6 arms. They all work very independently. It's a rage, non-reasonable creature at all. And if it can get 3 of those hooked into you, it will bite as well. And so I really appreciated, Nick, that you poisoned one. That was a great move because they have no immunity to poison. It was perfect.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And then they were smart enough and pissed enough to rip open doors and let other things out.
Allowed you to stage and lengthen the battle, basically.
Another thing too is that from the chat, Knight of Barsoom, he was over the moon that you were using those, because he's obviously he is a fan of John Carter stuff, and he was
There we go.
he had a running commentary about how you were using them. So it was really cool to have that kind of fan interaction.
It was fun.
I'll have to put Tharks in the next adventure then.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
We'll make him really happy.
And creatures that can do sort of very conventional combat, but still are a mess. And Arrow, I thought, did really well in that he had a good immobilization spell that slowed the number down, so I couldn't continue to butcher you guys with 12 thrown spears. Just total chaos. So it was good. You guys reacted smart, and you got a chance to use the dragon bow. I was very excited to see that thing whipped out finally. You won the combat.
I wasn't sure whether or not a Hydra qualified. I was like, my decision was made as soon as I realized it was.
So and that's the issue. Draconics, there's probably around 6 or 7 hybrid creatures that are going to be a 50-50 either way. The Chimera was a great one. Would that have worked? I would argue yes, because it has qualities, at least that head, while it was living. A Hydra does. There's a bunch of Wyvern. Those are all creatures that are right on the edge of the spectrum. There's some weird, gross marrying of the two. So that was interesting.
And JR saved our butts when he slammed the door on the Umberhawk.
Oh my
goodness, it was so good.
Totally stunned me. And that the Umberhawk fried one of the enemies, which was great. You know, he put him on a commission for it.
And he could fry all of us.
It was a good combat. You guys the Doomseekers react well under stress quickly. They organize, they come and figure things out, and it worked well. It was a tough fight. And when you went up to the top level, you didn't mess with the 2 things I thought were going to cause complete destruction. And so that was very smart of you.
The little bird and the pentagram? You thought we were going to do something with it?
Well, I assumed someone was going to wreck the pentagram, and that would have been a total party kill. There would have been nothing I could do to stop that thing from just destroying you. So
I thought Nick was going to goad you into like just burning it all down.
Well, I loved his. I was so excited that he was going to goad you into eating the dragon heart. I had both of the original tables. Wanted to see someone that was going to be unbelievable. I was very excited.
Was never going to happen.
You were pushing him hard. That was a brilliant move.
I almost did it myself just because Nick was pissing me off.
Really?
I'm just offering choices.
Yeah, right. I was sad through the whole adventure that we're not going to be able to keep any of the stuff that we grabbed.
Oh, no, half the stuff you got, I think, was great. You got some awesome stuff.
Yeah, we got to give it all back to Wordna, don't we?
No.
He was making it for the team.
Yeah,
right. Back? I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping those were drow cloaks, by the way, so they go away in a couple adventures.
No, they're actually the Shadow Dragon stuff.
Great.
I built out the Shadow Dragon stuff, and I have the stats for you too. So they're interesting. Some cool abilities. Yeah, you guys only took 8 things, which is awesome. You didn't take a lot of stuff at all. So
I mean, I noticed you liked using some of the stuff that you say great about when you're the DM. That plus 20 Constitution you didn't seem to complain about.
21.
yeah, you're a rock star. I mean,
I regenerate now. It's so cool.
On the line. That's impressive.
Yeah.
The number one question I had, people didn't understand all the puzzle stuff, so that was interesting.
There were puzzles.
I think the problem with puzzles in sort of this format is, I mean, if this was just we were in a game shop and it's 8 of us sitting around, it's easier. It's actually easier to communicate in person. And I think there's things that Zoom does well and things that Zoom doesn't do well. And so I think puzzle solving is going to be harder over the internet. You know, we're not all in the same room. We can't listen to questions. We can't ask questions without sort of a certain amount of chaos. And then also there's just the nature of the show. And it's like, you know, I think, you know, listening to James's stories of how they would solve problems that Gary presented them, it seems like sometimes those problems could go on for months.
Oh, yeah.
You know, well, we don't have that time in a show. And I think we're all cognizant, and that's the problem with entertainment. The worst thing that can ever happen is dead air. And so you do have to think, and like, I mean, there's some very high IQ people here, but, you know, you have to be lightning fast to solve puzzles in an interesting manner expediently. And so I like puzzles because they're fun, but the crafting of a puzzle for an online show is probably going to be upped in difficulty because it can't be so hard that it can't be solved fairly quickly.
Yes,
but
exactly
it can't be so easy that it's just, there's no sense in it.
Well,
So that's almost that is a very hard thing to do.
So
But
Andrew,
that's screenwriting.
Yeah, I mean the issue with the one puzzle you had, which was, you know, the layout of the tower, that was a visual cue that I think the problem with it through this medium is that I noticed, why does that say 5? And maybe I just miscounted, because you were never seeing all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
So you could never see, you know, like I noticed that was a 5 and I was like, I don't remember a 4. But, you know, I think that was just a failure on my part. I didn't see it, you know, so why bring it up?
The puzzle that I was wondering if anyone would catch, I just realized why no one would. So here's the map I displayed to you for the first level, right? That's the one I displayed. And it looks pretty innocuous. Here is the same map,
Right.
But there's one difference. And so in the very back is that weird pad of tile, the blue and white tile. It wasn't on the map I showed you guys because I took the wrong picture. Before I finished the map, I had taken the picture and realized that the map I sent you was not the map you needed. So yeah.
Oh boy.
So
but here's gonna be the problem with putting it. I noticed it, like when you put up visual aids, the moment someone clears their throat or makes an aside comment, their face shows instead of the map. So that makes it difficult too. It almost might be like, if you want to put a puzzle in, it might be better to use wordplay puzzles, or use some Latin and say, solve this puzzle by basically deconstructing Latin and figure out, what in the center means, that kind of thing.
What the option was that JR was leaning to was the pad behind them was a teleportation pad. And when you asked for stuff, you started going down the path, JR, of saying, is there anything else you could provide? And the first time that's asked, they'll give up Bagheera. They give up the statue. The second time, they'll give you a marble that allows you to then step on the pad and go right to the top level. And so I
asked again, but I got spoke over, and then I just didn't ask it after that.
Yeah, but you were brilliant enough to get Bagheera. He didn't use it, but it was interesting that he got it. Did you feel?
So, how much of this tower was Wordna's construction from things that have happened in the game, and how much was, well, I'm going to do that. Like, I know you're a pretty litigious player, so you know, you keep yourself honest. Like, how much of this was stuff that you've been building all along?
Oh,
And how much
everything.
did you?
I
Yeah.
added only one crazy thing that I just wanted to put out there that is truly Multean and not Crimson Hawk. The question ball. So the idea behind the question ball is there was a Dragon Magazine article about creating the other 8 classes of holy warriors. And the Paramander is the chaotic neutral equivalent of a paladin, and it has a power to generate a question ball, which was something I always really, really liked. And so I wanted to stick one of those out there to see how you would interact with truly a chaotic element, but not good and not evil, but the creation of it is an evil act. And so that I just stuck in there as a fun thing for you guys to try and deal with. Everything else is something that Werdna has actually encountered, bottled, carried, captured, stolen, whatever, from all our different encounters. I laid out all those other creatures. And
We haven't encountered Mars apes.
No. Oh, sorry. True. That I just made as a custom goodie.
Okay.
And what about the demon?
Oh yeah, the demon is a real thing.
Well, yeah, there's lots of demons in the game. You just haven't hit him yet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how did Werdna encounter it? Because we haven't encountered it.
We did. We actually encountered a demon in the very beginning of Crimson Hawk, and he just called it diabolical. So I used that as the license of what the creature was.
Yeah.
And he started talking about Set. The alteration to it was that I made it one of the sons of Set, which would be a much worse thing to encounter in the end.
Yeah, really. A demigod? That isn't fun stuff.
Well, yeah,
So
it's hard.
If there's
Sorry,
something that's different slightly than a paladin and not quite as good, does that mean you hate it, James?
Well, he
You
didn't
hate
say
Anti-
he did not say anti-paladin, so
Correct.
I don't revile him for being a horrible DM.
And I didn't I didn't actually stick the character in there. I just used one of the spells that they could cast. And so I thought that would be something unusual to try and interact with. I did like how Terry interacted with so Smoke was the cat. When I used to write the early missives for the game, the first 5 or 6, I wrote those long stories out and would publish those on our page. And so in the second one, when Werdna went into Crimson Hawk, the town, I was describing what he was seeing in the places Jim had told us about. And so at one point, his familiar Razor had seen a cat and urged Werdna to buy it, and he did. And about 10 episodes ago, I polymorphed it and put wings on it. And so I named that cat and stuck it out there just as a fun thing for no intelligent reason at all.
There we go. I know
But it was
Terry,
funny how
Terry loved it.
interacted with it.
Yeah,
I
he
was
loved it.
surprised. So that was good.
It was very good.
Right. So that was interesting. Do we have any questions from the chat? I haven't opened up the Twitch yet.
Yeah, they want to know what I'm drawing, and I'm not drawing anything tonight because I'm researching new characters.
There we go.
I died.
No. You're not dead yet.
I exploded.
He might
could
want to
come
explode.
back.
He might
You're
want
only-
to be a different character.
You're only mostly dead.
I'm mostly dead.
I mean, yeah, that failing your system shock. I mean, normally that's just like, how did you determine that he exploded?
So the idea of that tapestry was basically covered in violence. Where it actually takes you is to one of the most dangerous Multane places, which is called Castle Kindness. And that's a place that sort of exists on the end of reality, very dangerous. And the results of trying to move back and forth are stressful to your body because you are losing your consistency as you're forced into another body. And that shape change effect is described pretty vividly by Gary a long time ago as an explosive transformation if you fail. And the system shock roll was literally, why I said percentile, it was literally 1 percentile's worth of damage, which is 52.
Yeah.
So it was almost 25.
Same thing happens when you go stone to flesh.
Yeah, exactly right. The risk, the high level of risk has to do with the amount of damage. And I couldn't remember. I thought Dron had somewhere around 64. So I was like, oh, this won't be so bad.
Yeah, but
he told me the number, and I was like, oh, shit. And I calculated that out, and it was past his death's door. So I made it a little gross and graphic.
Yeah,
I felt really bad for that, but it was just, in the moment.
I had taken some hits. So
yeah, and you guys did. You guys brawled hard and weren't able to recover quickly. One of the things I think that's a problem is I pace fast. And so you don't get a lot of downtime unless you're planning. But you guys were using the chat very well and saying, hey, I'm drinking this, I'm casting that, I'm moving these people forward, because I don't give you a lot of time to breathe. And our show is so fast that I wanted people to be constantly in motion, constantly thinking. You guys, you yanked one of the torches of true seeing down. You started wrecking all sorts of crazies. I was so excited if you were going to dip that thing in the fountain. I was really excited about that, JR.
What would have happened then?
So the fountain is the equivalent of the decanter of endless potions. And so I would have just rolled on the miscibility table as it tried to mix two objects at once and seeing what kind of explosion JR would have produced.
I told
I
you.
was going to do that, and then I watched Earl Otis's face, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe not.
There we go.
Yeah,
I was afraid it was going
to time. I hope it was manageable for him. We did move it up. Kind of crazy.
Hats off to you for having the courage to kill a character and enforce the rules. James has always asked me, do I pull any punches? I'm like, nope, you don't. You kill people, and that's just the way it is. And that is the difference between real D&D and where we've ended up now, and
right,
just as evidenced by Walt's story. But Walt, I would say to you, it really is your choice if you want to stay dead, because a resurrection brings that character back, or even a reincarnation. But if you're intent on making it,
so you are all there.
It's funny. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna start throwing the pieces in a trash bag.
Yeah, I know.
Captain Kogosha says, not enough killing and too much bad singing.
Yeah.
No,
bad singing. What's that bad singing?
So that's another thing. I force a lot of role playing, and I thought everyone rose to the challenge fantastically. I figured it was.
I don't know what you're talking about.
A very unusual event to have everyone forced into sort of such an alternate situation, but I really think everyone rose to the challenge nicely. I had a couple different things like that you could find depending on which levels you wandered around and what things you messed with.
A severed head as a player character. Yeah. Unbelievable. I've never seen that. Wow.
That was. I don't know what was going through my head as I was drawing the little picture out of what that was going to look like. Yeah.
Did you design this during your Rona scare? Is that what was happening?
So anyways, I would just say to you, Walt, real quick, though, I just want to get in.
Yeah.
It's your call whether you want to make a new character, or we will do whatever it takes, and I foresee that being hard to get that character reincarnated. It's your call.
Oh, that's something we should totally put to the chat. What do you guys think? You want to see?
Everybody loves Dron.
Yeah, apparently, because everybody was like, no.
Oh yeah, the number of texts and emails and live chats are going, Dron, what do you do? I'm like, hey man, I have a job.
So speaking of the dead thing, so I thought when I looked up the Ring of Life that I used, that you touched it to like the forehead, and that's what when you and I practiced the DM session, that's what we had talked about. Now you're saying that that's not how they work.
My memory of what Gary said is it's sort of like the Ring of Regeneration. If you're not wearing it when you're killed, it doesn't work. You can't put it on an inert body. That's of how it works.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just misunderstood when we were planning, because I was thinking it would be one of those ones where you could just.
Well, see, then it becomes a rod of resurrection, and that's a whole different deal.
Right, a very different animal, and it's just why a potion won't work on a dead body. You can't pour a potion of healing, even though the function works like that. The magic only works on the anime, and so that requires the living.
Captain Kogosha in the chat is trying to start some mess. He's like, all right. So what you need to do is you need to roll up a Hobbit necromancer. And now he's saying that the necromancer has to be female, and he goes in. You really want to mess with people? Just abandon that and go with a drow or an orc.
Yeah, great, good idea. Because they're not evil anymore, so
That's
it's
true.
okay.
So the funny thing is the reason I threw that in there, James, was because I didn't think you guys would be able to kill that stinking Titan. So this was my not kill the whole damn party on my first effort,
Oh, I see.
and you
Right.
ruined all of that. Just so you know.
Yeah. Well, we killed that guy, didn't we? Crushed his little body.
I'm
I
still
was
a little
quite-
better.
I was
I love
quite
those
pleased
monsters.
with that. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Just think of all the monsters I've loved that you guys have destroyed.
But those had it coming.
Well, I never
Those-
at any
those
point
poor,
detected that Andrew loved any of the monsters. He was just sitting. Like the difference is, James, you do love the monsters.
I do.
You hate when they get wailed on, but that's what they're there for. So
Yeah.
and
that's what
it's
they're
interesting, going to you as the emeritus senior, DM. You have this creation, Crimson Hawk, and now Andrew has introduced his world into your world. And so, what is the peanut butter chocolate moment for you? Do you see your world evolving, or, what happened here? As far
Well,
how do you reconcile these things?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, Andrew's parallel world can sit beside mine all he likes and combine it all he likes. It doesn't affect Crimson Hawk at all, I don't think. And second of all, we're going to have lots of changes just because of this game. I mean, I want to turn you guys all into pets. I know. I want to send you guys to Mars for a while. I want to do lots of things with you just because of this game. So the game.
Well, here would be the thing that I would be afraid of, is I try to, as Prometheus does, he tries to stir up controversy and foment things and get people to do chaotic things, because that's what he
is
enjoys.
that Prometheus or is that Nick?
Yes.
No, Nick is a
Nick
different
is
person.
Prometheus. Yeah, right.
No, come on, Nick is good, as I try to tell Nicole. Nick good. No. If I was Andrew's multi-end players, and it does seem like that's a world of spheres, like Andrew was talking about, and it does seem like there are power struggles there and things that people are doing. Well, today just opened up Crimson Hawk for them to come in and plunder and raid and watch things, and so it would seem like you could actually, stirring up a little WWE here, you could face sort of you could face those players now coming in to sort of pillage your world.
We're all old enough to know there's WWF.
Yeah, since you've just said they're side by side now, I can see Andrew's players taking advantage of that. They've watched the stream, they know what's going on. They go, "Oh, I know what I can do with that harp. I'll go get that harp."
There was a lot of fascinating conversation about that. In about 6 of them started watching episodes. They were watching old episodes to look in and see what all this was. Yeah, a bunch. Having me as a player is a very unusual thing. This is the only I only play at tournaments annually, but this is the only thing I've been a player in 30, 40 years. Long time.
Long time.
Well,
So
I would
yeah,
think
the game has changed a bunch just because of this last game.
Yes, yeah, definitely. It would be very interesting to see if Andrew's players make incursions into this world, and then at the same time, maybe our characters are allowed to make incursions into Andrew's world.
Well, yeah, every time we play Andrew as a DM, we're going to be encouraging in his world.
Well, and that's probably the question: is should we be retiring? We'll have to decide if he's
the mega characters, and I think Prometheus is becoming pretty high powered, and everybody else is becoming pretty high powered. So much, I don't know. My experience with a lot of D&D is that a lot of DMs kill you because they don't want you to get too powerful, because I think it's fairly difficult to run high powered characters.
Yeah. Okay. See, I'm exactly the opposite, Nick.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I
The
think
bigger the power, the happier I am.
Yeah,
I think you and Andrew are. I think you and Andrew are maybe some of the. I only know one other DM that I know that could. I think people would like to see very high level gaming.
I agree.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what Dark Sun was all about, actually.
Oh, God,
high level gaming. Yeah. So no, when you guys get up to 14th or 15th level, there's lots of stuff for you guys to already encounter that's going to give you grief. So
yeah. So I think
a
that's
question
the answer
that the
to.
audience was asking me a lot. What were the creatures? So here are the original creatures that you guys dealt with. Nick wound up as the snake, the albino python. Michael was the mongoose. Now, snake and mongoose, did anyone recognize that reference? Did that mean anything to any of you? You're all old enough.
Rudyard Kipling. Ricky Tikki
Snake and
Tavi.
mongoose were very famous dragster races in the 70s in the Midwest.
Oh, really?
So I just threw that in as a goofy.
And they're also mortal enemies, so yeah.
Yeah, well, right, that too, Ricky Tikki Tavi. I love that you caught that one. Jim became the harpy. I thought it was very fitting, Walt, that you were the war dog. I thought that was a great craziness there.
That was fun.
And Carlos was the homunculus, so that was a tough thing. JR, you drew the short straw as the stench cow. That's a lower plane abyssal bovine that wanders across the spheres. And you had a power that I was wondering if you were going to employ, causing even more chaos. The Deathstream, the oversized warhorse. And then, I don't know what was going on in my brain that I decided on a severed head. But I just thought that was a weird.
It was wonderful. You were probably looking at Verghouls in the monster manual.
Yeah, that's a great Fiendfolio, isn't that? Is that where that's from?
Yeah.
So what was the power I missed that I could have used?
So the stench cow has a reek, an actual odor to it that it can emit in a direction, and that works like the stinking cloud spell that Arrow had used in actual combat. And it weakens stuff. So you might have been able to isolate a head, but Jim took one out. You actually took out the goat head.
From brilliant singing, I might add.
And in character, which was awesome.
Yeah, I would give you the role playing award today because you had what we call in acting the courage to reveal, and you sang. I don't know that anybody else would have done that, but you did it, and you get for whatever that's worth. If Andrew's giving away experience for role playing, I would give it to you.
So I do experience for role playing, and so you'll see in the pluses and minuses section. I'll be awarding all that. And Michael, I thought you rose very well to the occasion in not only your mongoose, but also in your fight to fight, right. Which is why. So Eric had the option if he wanted to award you a magic item or not. So he chose to give you the wind fan, which I thought was very appropriate.
Yeah, that's nice. Is he going to get experience for that?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
He does.
I'm just glad Jim didn't opt for a harpy's famous alternate attack, which is flinging poo. So
don't people need to be showing up and challenging Michael's character for their levels?
It will be, absolutely.
Right.
That'll happen.
He's getting close to. That'll be the 13th level. So he's got to go through the 4 elements first, and then he goes into the one-on-ones that aren't done in monastery, but are literally to the death combat. So I assume he's getting closer to that problem.
Yeah, the last 3 are to the death, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, that the section with the polymorphing or whatever, that's where I was the confused part. So I was sort of struggling to figure everything out. But that's more my head injury than anything, I think.
There we go.
Was there anything that I described that you were interested in that you didn't get to mess with?
Well, there's probably all sorts of stuff.
I was tempted with the Nick's taunting about the heart, eating the heart, but
what would
last time I went with my gut, I sort of destroyed everybody, so I was trying to listen when they're all.
Andrew, do you still have the table out?
Of the creatures?
No, of eating the heart.
No, I actually just have the article on it. So I've used the same one for years, and then mine is actually my old manually typed variant where I put it. So eating a dragon heart was a concept that I remember from very old Greyhawk stuff. And it was mostly poisonous and fatal. That's why goading Jim's character on had a much higher chance. He had almost a 1 in 4 of getting one of the crazy effects, and it's draconic specific. So if you had gone after the silver dragon, you had a chance of walking out with a breath weapon. You had a chance of walking out with spell capability. Crazy shit that it does. It usually just kills your ass, but you have such a high save versus poison that it's -6.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah, so you would have with a 7 or higher, you could still walk out with a shot at a permanent power, which would have been amazing.
And we have that we each got a black gem that negates 1 poison death.
Yeah.
So we could have given that to him. Yeah.
So that's a pretty good deal. The other heart, the Shadow Dragons, that would have gone down a very dark path, some of the capabilities of what that creature had. And so Jim, when he used that on us, was very effective in torturing us for a good couple of rounds because we just couldn't find it or get to it.
And now you have a water dragon heart waiting for you outside the tower in
So
a big
didn't even know
rotting
that.
dragon. Yeah.
Well,
And so-
and what I'm using those things for is distilling dragon control and dragon capabilities. So, I have, it turns out I have 22 monsters that I've cataloged and captured over time,
Jeez.
plus dead parts. So, a lot of stuff.
Frightening.
And what would you say Warden's goal is?
Well, I just use them for taxonomy and for making magic stuff and potions. And the monsters, what my plan has always been is to, continue enslaving and charming them to have them as guards or useful taskmasters, stuff we can do things. That's why I put the Medusa head at the top and bottom of the stairs, etc.
What is your character's goal? Like what is the goal you are striving towards with this very powerful character?
Oh, yeah. Werdna wants to go home. So when I wrote my original backstory, he is a Multean sorcerer who wound up at the Tower of Fax and came north up toward Greyhawk City. When we became Crimson Hawk at Event 2, I used that as the impetus for, figuring out, is he going home or is he going to live here since he doesn't know how to get home? Because we altered reality after the first round of playing in Greyhawk, which is accessible to me via spell jamming. But now that we've got spell jamming with Crimson Hawk, I could still go home should I choose to. But none of the party wants to go home. They like alternate Crimson Hawk much better than original Crimson Hawk. Only Fever and I share the ideology of even having a memory of that difference. So that was the consequence of the wish. So, yeah, I don't know what he's going to do. And what we have to decide now is, A, is he technically pulled through and we're done? Or B, does it not work? And then you guys get stuck with another round of dealing with figuring out what things on the 5th floor do you want to mess with? Do you want to go up to the top? Do you want to try and figure out how to get to the hidden level? The clues are here. I would actually re-describe the 5th level to you if we started in real time up there. Sort of all sorts of stuff like that. That's what you guys have to make some decisions on what you want to do.
But if we're not
Speaking
able to
of
pull
decisions,
but if we're not able to pull you through, then
Figure out how to get to me.
Yeah.
So then I would describe what Lerm actually saw as a scene, and then you guys would have to go pay someone to either try and teleport there or use the clues that are still in here to see if you could find out how to get where I am.
Or
So
the white wizard could probably make us a word and a trump.
Yeah, a trump or a plane shift, do one of the things that would necessarily allow the party to get there. And the White Wizard is very strong and could do things like that, providing gateway access.
Doesn't Nick have a teleport scroll that?
I do. That Warden gave me. I do have that.
Teleportation is usually place to place, not plane to plane. You would have the interesting thing about doing this. We would then have to consult a rule set I gave to Jim that he said he was going to introduce that we would have to decide if you guys wanted to get involved with, which would add an extreme element of risk. Yeah, indeed, crossing over of the realities again, and you would have to decide if Jim wanted to let us add that element in.
If Fever wants to become a loaf of bread, we'll have to ask her.
Speaking of risks and such, what's the decision, Walt, with the character you're designing?
So far, I can't play a halfling necromancer. That's just weird. I mean, no.
Too close to home.
What is it?
Too close to home.
Yeah, well, a little bit. Somebody said that. Somebody said that to me recently too. They're like, dude, I thought you, based on like the way you are online, I thought you were like 6'2". Like,
no,
bro.
I meant the necromancer part.
Oh
yeah.
pretty much. I mean, I do love a nice 300 win mag, but so far everybody here is like make a new character. you know. So I don't know. We'll have to.
The audience is cruel.
The audience
Yeah, that's
is
tough. I really like Drawn. Drawn has always been a great
Yeah.
companion. Drawn and Wordna have survived separately from the party several times. So
Yeah.
Wordna, if he does come back, feels mortified.
Captain Kilgoshi keeps telling me he wants me to do a drow elf. I can't do
I
it.
think we should reincarnate
Yeah.
John. That way he can come
It's-
back as something.
It's
Funky.
not a lot of fun to reincarnate
No.
as a
No,
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
Let me assure you.
Old school D&D reincarnation is that table is
Brutal.
bad.
Oh my goodness, it's bad. There's just a couple good ones out of 20, so it's
Yeah.
really risky.
It's yeah, you are head down because as their nature comes over the nurture part, holy crap, if it's one of the dark side ones, you
I
Yeah.
actually get it for the audience and for me because I don't remember the reincarnation table. Can you go over what's the difference between resurrection and reincarnation?
Yeah, sure.
Reincarnation, you come back as a creature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And resurrection, you just come back as yourself.
right.
They
Right.
both have the system shock rolls.
Well, no, resurrection is resurrection survival. You actually roll directly against the RS table instead of SS.
Okay.
Whereas reincarnation is the system shock table. But you don't come intact with much of your memory, just an inkling of what you were. You are mostly the new thing. And the new thing is spending time exerting its will over your nature. So, cool, you're a Tyrannosaurus Rex with your old memories. A cleric would be really pissed off, stuck in a body of a big giant dinosaur. As the dinosaur's nature is, I'd rather eat the party than like give them a cure. I'm not going to spend a lot of time piously sitting and praying for spells. I'd rather just eat everything near me. So it
So-
gets worse and worse.
The Captain Kilgoshi is saying, "Fine, no drow. Go ahead and do a dwarf then, and be a dwarven bard who can't sing but tries."
What's he implying, I wonder?
Oh, I don't know. I thought you did well. Well, I'm glad it was a fun but sort of an alternative break. You guys managed the timing and the pacing very well.
Yeah, it
So,
was-
so you're going to pick what god? Are you going to like go through multiple choice, or how's that going to work for you? If you do another cleric,
oh, a cleric. Well,
I'd be amazed if he did another cleric.
yeah, cleric. You know, because I've already done that.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah, so might go with something else.
And
How about something from your supplement that you just created that people can buy
Ooh.
online right now?
Yeah,
for us.
that would be interesting because I already have that character, and it's funny too
Yeah.
because when JR was having such a hard time pronouncing Drawn with a D, or John with a D rather, I just took the N off the back and created the character that we used for that exploration to hell.
Yeah.
And that's where I eventually got the idea for the supplement. And it's on drive-through right now. It's called The Eye of Horus, and it's about imagine if all the thieves that the paladins and clerics of Horus had caught in a city could be redeemed and used as like a spy organization. And the guy that was the thief that was present in that run to hell, he's part of that group. So, but he's already there. We've already seen him. So I could easily use him, but it would be interesting to see how it would play out.
I had 4 people ask me if this was going to become content for the World of Crimson Hawk, and I said, well, it is written. I crafted the whole thing, so we could definitely do something if they wanted it to become content offered somewhere.
Assault on the Tower of Wordna.
Well, it's called the Tower of Ascension. That's the name of the event. The tower is called the Phoenix Tower, but the module as a thing, the event I created was called the Tower of Ascension.
If you do you have, is it all written up?
Mm-hmm.
If you send it to me, I can start working that over for you. We can actually release that as a complete product.
There we go.
I know.
All right, you just have to decide if you're going on or, well, yeah, Jim, I guess we have to work out the mechanics of what you want to happen. And if the
Well, let's
answer
work them
is,
out. Let's work them out right now. What do we want to do? How do we want to go?
well, he has
How
to
should we
decide if I can
proceed?
get free or not, and that's up to him.
Now I'm having
Well-
severe deja vu. Is Tower of Ascension? For some reason that strikes me as a term that's very familiar. Okay.
That's just old age.
Yeah, probably.
Ouch.
Yeah, I guess other things. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
Oh wow, Captain Kogosha. Dear Lord, man, he's saying Verdna should die at the end.
There you go. There you go.
No.
We got a bloodthirsty audience.
An appropriate ending. So
This is a rough crowd. It's a good thing they love Prometheus.
Oh my God.
Yeah, everybody loves Prometheus.
Shadow the Illustrator was saying that Dron's soul should get trapped inside of the magical cat. He wants to help, but he can't communicate.
well, and that's a thing that happened in one of Moorcock's old books. Was a character was trapped in a small flying cat. Yeah. Crazy.
So, James, how do we reconcile? How do we how do we proceed here?
So, well, I'd like to keep running the game. It's
Okay.
up to you guys, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it, and plus, I really want to expand some more levels. Plus, you guys really haven't hit the tough stuff yet, so I'd like to see what happens. So far, you've knocked over everything you've come across, which I think is great. But there's the lower levels are very different than the upper levels. So I would keep doing it with guest DMs every once in a while. You guys can choose.
No, I think we want to do that. I think the question is, how do we recover Word here now?
Well, he
So that
recovered.
we
we,
can.
we pulled him back from the tower. So why isn't he
So there you go.
the tower
That's
with
the
us?
Ask them.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't, but
Yep.
we're assuming now we did.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
We
No,
we
that
will
was-
just.
So that was literally the cliffhanger was left with the yes or the no, and so now the answer is yes. So there you go. That's
Right
the
on.
answer.
Okay.
And I want to yell at him a little bit for his stupid tower and how nasty it is.
I'll be like, what are
We
you doing up here? You're not
Yeah.
supposed to be on the 5th floor anyway, for God's
We
sake.
should all have a talk with him about that
And
because
look at my
I think
carpet. Look what you did to my carpet. Now, who's gonna clean up
I
my-
believe there are 4 monsters roaming around the castle that escaped from your tower.
Well, why did you let those out? What
Yeah,
what are you
exactly.
doing? Don't let my
Exactly.
shit out.
See, this is why chefs chase people out of their kitchens. Yeah, don't get in my kitchen. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You're allowed on the 1st floor with the hotties who do all the work. That's where you can stay.
Exactly right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
And
So-
Michael, I think you should stop brandishing a sword while you're playing the game.
I loved that.
I got just
loved
a
that.
tad nervous when that was happening.
Now, what kind of sword was that? Because it looked like a Xiphos.
I thought it was a Gladys myself.
Yeah, I thought it
That's
looked
what I
like
thought
Oh,
it
it's
was, too.
Sting. It's Sting from Lord of
yeah,
the
It
Rings.
is.
like a custom version of the Hobbit.
It is Sting. It does
There we-
glow too.
I thought
There
it was
we
a
go.
Gladius.
And
Yeah.
then we've got
Ooh,
Good stuff there. Wow.
Dear
Yeah.
Lord.
that's a serious piece of meat. Wham. Well then, yeah, I guess we're
So
fine.
we will return to regular programming next week with Jim at the helm.
Yes.
And you want us to get into the dungeon. You want us to get down into Greyhawk.
You guys have to solve the storyline of the Giant Wars, and you haven't even nicked the top part of it yet. So
and then
That's-
there's that
Well, see,
damn
but that's
beholder.
that seems at odd with solving the dungeon.
well, it isn't really.
Right. So there's a piece that means there's something we don't know.
Our spectators wanted a story, so I have given them exactly that.
Okay.
So that's what I-
should we what should we be doing next week? Are we going back to
your well level takes you down to lots of giant things, and
Yep.
so that would be a good place to go. You're also going to get you're also going to meet a batch of fog giants that wants you to not counterattack when they destroy Crimson Hawk.
Ooh.
There are fog giants. I don't remember those in the original Monster Manual.
Oh yeah, they're right there.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yep.
So in the chat, Shadow the Illustrator is saying how interesting it would be if Prometheus suddenly developed amnesia and had to relearn how to use fever all over again.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Yeah.
I think we've done enough stuff to Fever.
Yeah.
I
leave,
think
leave the
I
poor
think
sword
making
alone.
Fever
Not
sick
even
every
close.
other week.
We haven't stripped her of her magic. We haven't taken all her
You took
gems
away
away.
my best. You took away my best gem.
Yeah, I
You
made her.
leave Brittany alone.
Yeah,
I
really.
Uh,
I was going to be very interested to see if you tried to use fever on the top level, which had more Moltean elements, because it would work the way the sword is described, not the way Jim has allowed it to work.
Uh-huh.
So a dancing sword normally does not dance on its own. It goes through 4 rounds, singular plus increments, before it can gain that power. So you were going to throw it, and it would fall to the ground. And
Fall to the ground.
What the F is going on with this?
I know
thing?
that would have been fun.
Because the old school way is it's +1 on the first round, +2 on the second, +3 on the third, +4 on the fourth, and then it can dance. And for 4 rounds, it goes through that increment with you in synchronization.
So, question related to some of the magics that we caught today. So those gems of absorption, is that what they were?
Yeah, basically the ion stone of absorption, basically. They
So
just
how-
absorb spells.
Ion stones are owned by Hasbro Incorporated. Are floating gems.
Right, so these are like shoulder stuff that we found in the bowl of Anubis.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So we would be carrying it on our shoulders or whatever, and they're currently charged, so I guess we can discharge them at will, or
Yes, it's basically like spell storing. You can discharge that, and Jim then, as it goes back to the real world, can decide if it burns out from the energy or if it can absorb another first level spell.
Well, the dwarf gives back his gem to Wordna.
No, Werdna doesn't want it back.
Really?
Yeah, the
Okay,
Hydra's going to regenerate, and it'll be suitably pissed off.
Okay,
that I'll
and
have
I
to-
thought I took care of that so it wouldn't regenerate.
No, they left one head. Remember what?
Oh,
JR
dang
said?
it,
He
dang
pushed
it.
it back in and closed the door with the head
Oh,
still intact. I deliberately said,
kind
"Is
of-
someone cutting off the head?" No, no one was cutting off the head. So
Kind of tragic. I expected it to throw more fire too.
So that was my goal for the next round. You guys cut off so many goddamn heads so fast. It was unbelievable.
We did.
Should have
That's
made
what
it
you do.
9-headed, but the Hydra we captured wasn't. So, I would like to. And I got the Umber Hulk loose now too, which is really bad. So that's a problem.
What do you mean loose? He is locked in his cage.
No. He burrowed through the stone. You guys.
Oh,
started
that's right.
firing
He
arrows at
did. He
it.
did burrow
bit
through
it
the
off.
stone.
And so
Yeah.
it's fallen to the second floor.
Yes,
and
yes.
It's wailing around on the alchemy lab, which is really bad.
So let me retell this story. So it's my first DMing experience at the Origins convention, and I want to say it's 77, but it might have been 78. And we were in an adventure where the very first thing they met was an Umber Hulk.
Oh,
And so
scary.
the party of 5 met the Umber Hulk in like the first 2 minutes of the adventure. and- None of them made their save, and so
Yeah.
the Umber Hulk confused them all. They all sat on the floor, and the Umber Hulk ate their
Yeah,
heads.
just
So
ate them. Oh,
a total party kill in like 8 minutes. It was the fastest total party kill I ever had.
yeah. As a monster, it's a horrible killing machine.
Yeah, it really
4
is.
attacks around plus confusion. And
Yeah.
If it can get a hold of you, it literally nips your head right off.
Yep, it does.
Well, that's why I was closing my eyes anytime I was anywhere near there. So
Yeah, well, you kind of have to look at it to fight it.
blind fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And a bunch of you. So, how were you guys comfortable with doing all the ability checks? I know I do that sort of ad nauseum, and I wanted to round out getting you guys used to all the different variants. So I pushed that hard.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to do more of those too now.
It all moved quickly, so I don't think there was any. There was no pausing. There was no. I think the
No, there's
pacing was
not.
good with whatever.
I don't leave a lot of time for debate, which is tough. You really got to make a decision if you want to. So the hardest thing about my campaign style is survival is really impetus. You either know it or you don't, and if you don't, you have a good chance of being ruined quick.
Mhm.
Jim plays in a group with people, and if they move slowly, they get killed. So it's tough.
It is.
Is there
More like
anything
real
that
life.
you had for this adventure that you wanted us to hit that we didn't hit?
Yes. Yeah, there were 2 things I had made. Well, I was really hoping you'd go after the bird. I wanted to see if anyone was going to talk with it. So if either of the priests talked to it, I would have had a chance at charming. My goal was to charm the paladin because he could do damage to me in range, PFE, obviously. And so I needed a way to lure him over so I could talk to the paladin and be like, hey, man, all I need you to do is just to scuff one of these edges. I just need a little help. I'm here to be your friend, and I'll work for you. I also loved that you thought about resurrecting Drawn that way. That would have been outstanding. What you would have wound up with after Jim took over, because it would not have been a raised dead or a resurrection. It would have been a horrible, diabolic, demonic.
Yeah, with a demon
Requirement.
inside his chest.
Yeah.
That's why Walt was sending me, ignore me, focus on saving words.
Yeah. So that
Yeah,
was
there we
fun.
go.
The other thing I had put out there is if you asked enough questions of the question ball and got to the last one, the owner would have shown up. And so that would have been a very weird hybrid crossover with the actual Paramander that was created the question ball coming to retrieve it from Impudent Wordna for actually using it.
How tough are those guys?
So the interesting thing about it is it would have been a great Paladin on Holy Warrior fight if either he or JR decided to take it on individually. But one of its great powers is that it always, the first blow from an opponent is always parried. So that the blow is always put to the side, and then it has 3 attacks around.
So what happens if you're wearing a Displacer cloak on that character? Does he get the first 2 attacks?
So that would be a very interesting collage of, how the magic versus the power would work. And I like ruling things like that a lot. So those are fun.
So
There were a
I
couple
have a
of cool
question.
magic items I hid for you guys to find, but Earl found one and Nick found one. So yeah, I was pleased that you guys dug up some of the magic items. And of course you found the things that you commissioned me to make all those years ago.
So I do have a question. Given that you have the belt of dwarven kind there, Wyvern, are you rolling to see what happens to your beard every day?
No.
I saw that in the chat, JR. I love that.
What does that mean?
So the belt, if you read the stats for it, 50% chance to make your beard more beardly. It's one of the descriptions for it. It was
Really?
designed. That was one of the perks. It was originally going to just mess with people that weren't dwarves, but it wasn't racially specific in the manual I found.
So it's a Rogaine for dwarves.
Basically.
Yeah, really. So nobody even notices when my beard goes wild.
One thing I put out there that didn't seem to go anywhere was I had a lot of prompts for you guys to use racial abilities. I used different surfaces and mediums, and I was looking to see if you guys are going to analyze those. The top floor was that weird material. The third floor, I said the stone was unusual, but none of those things, nobody cared about using any of the racial abilities. So that's
What was the story with that vine?
So I was desperate for you to mess with the plants, but nobody did that. So that
I wanted to. I'd like to point that out.
you did. So that was a choke creeper vine from the actual one taken from the Barrier Peaks adventure S3, and so it was going to try and grab someone and throw them into the buzzsaw plant, which would have been outstandingly funny. And
There we go.
The
I don't think
carnivorous
funny means what you think it means.
Yeah.
the carnivorous plant can overcome the elven sleep and charm. That's what would be interesting about that. So if anyone had taken the sap, they could have used that for arrows or things or spears or weapons that were missile weapons and overcome resistances to sleep and charm and use that to pacify opponents.
So me chopping up the vine was a good idea then, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a brilliant idea. I was going to try and capture that, and somehow none of you triggered the trap. So I should have made the staircase trap automatic, because that would have been a terrible thing to have to fight through.
Hey, thanks for gifting that sub, Captain Kugosha. That's really cool.
Thank you, sir. Huzzah!
Yeah. Huzzah.
Well, I hope it was entertaining and that you guys got to try something a little different and run at my pace, which I know was a little frantic, but hopefully fun.
No, it was good. You did a great job. I give you an A+ for your effort.
Thank you.
Nah. I've been thinking about the subscribers too. Walt and Nick, what do you guys think about giving subscribers a secret website that we as players and referees add to once or twice a month?
In what way?
So that if you subscribe, we give you a code word, and you can get online and get in this Crimson Hawk website, and it's just stuff that we put in there that are interesting to the subscribers.
That's something we could explore. The hard part of that would be getting the metrics to track the subscriptions. So you would want, if you're making it a subscription thing only, where people are able to come in during when they're subscribed versus when they're not. You know what I mean? So that's
I would just make it a newsletter.
Yeah, there you go.
that if they're
Yeah.
subscribing to the newsletter, then if you're on the newsletter that month, you get the things. What I would be more interested in is like, what kind of things are you thinking about giving them? Andrew and I were talking this week, and he was showing me these D&D cards that would be for every character, and sort of the mock-ups and the art. And I think that's pretty cool. That would be a good thing to give away.
So that's one of the things we do for our tournament players who play with guild members is we offer them up cuts of the character sheets. We commission artists to render the character sheets at tournament, and so we let people have the art versions of those. And I've always said to Nick about this, that one thing we could offer would be, some of the vignettes, the special. Here's Fever's actual powers. Here's a copy of Wordness character sheet. Here's the spells that I create. Here's some of the artwork that Walt has drawn. So we could put out some interesting content that people might be curious about.
And I have a piece of Errol Otis art that no one has ever seen.
What?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Imagine that. Well, and Arrow also drew his character. So,
Yes, when you play it, and when I played in his game last year in San Francisco, it was really amazing because he draws a lot of stuff for his personal games, and you're like, wow, I'm seeing Errol Otis art that no one else is seeing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I figured it was weird showing my 17-year-old drawing of the Road of Time. So I figured everyone would get a kick out of that.
He should be our next DM game because he, as you can tell from his personality, he's a very sensitive person. He's a very eclectic person. He's very interesting. His style is very different than the both of yours, which is very pro level. This is some of the finest, gaming experiences I've ever had. Errol is a very interesting person, and his puzzles are visual because he draws them.
Must be nice.
Yeah, and you're literally staring at there was this we were just last time I was playing with him, we were just getting into this cavern, and he had this sort of very Errol Otisian sort of shrine in there, and that was the puzzle. And we didn't really get into it, but we should ask him to guest DM one time because it's a real treat. And if you guys think that you were pro on the voices today, he does the voices and they're insane. They're just
Andrew, Zoom technical question. Is there a way, so now, obviously you can share a graphic, but it occupies the full screen. Is there a way to share something that it doesn't black out everything else? Almost as if it's a character, one of us, if we wanted to see some map or something like that without knocking everything else off the screen. Is there a way to do that on Zoom?
Yeah, I believe so. So there's a bunch of layers in the sharing, and we usually use the immersive just because of how many people we have. But based on some of the feedback today, I'll be chewing on some of the research behind that. Zoom works in the enterprise version for the talking voice as having command based on the view format you're using. And Zoom comes with the speaker view, the full screen view, the gallery view, all those different ways you can cut and split that. But yeah, I want to look and see if I can do a share screen where the thumbnail is the image and the party holds the screen. I think that's a format. So I'll definitely look at that to see, because I appreciate what you guys said, that if someone talked over or coughed or did something, they became the screen and the image went away. So that's worth noting.
Yeah, JR.
What's that call?
When it comes to me, it usually tries to co-opt my monitor, but my monitors are set to where if anything tries to do that, it automatically shrinks it to the default setting that I have it as. So the people in the stream are seeing just the map with their heads above it. So you guys,
see, and that's how I do it on the Mac too. Is I separate it out. So on my 3 screens, I have a screen that's just for graphics and displays.
Yeah.
So when I share, it's over there, and that doesn't even affect what I'm looking at. And so I have one screen that's just with the battle order updated, so I know the sequencing can be calling out who's doing what when, and then the change, because I'm paranoid. I track hit points, I track a bunch of ability scores. But I mean, this was just a single dip, so we didn't go through a lot of the crazy stuff that I don't know.
And that's the other thing that people who are watching really don't get, because it kind of it does seem a little bit seamless when you're watching it back later on. What you're seeing is you're actually, when Jim is running the game, you're actually seeing 3 points of game production coming together through one thing. So you got Andrew is actually hosting the call, Jim is running the session, and I'm running the stream. So everything. So you got these 2 points that converge behind what I have going on, and then I'm the one actually pushing it. So like so that it's not just one person doing something, because if it was coming from one source, as long as you have multiple screens, you can actually do a lot of this stuff pretty seamlessly. Where like for example, if I wanted to let's see, we can show this to the chat right now. Just get a blank screen up, and so for example, when we have a separate scene that that's good enough. Allows us to show us and the game table all at once, right? So when I switch to that, like I'm doing right now, we see everybody in the chat just as we want to see them, and then right beside it we have the game table. So we have the actual Roll20 app all set up, all ready to go, and it like I said, it looks seamless. It looks like because of the way I have it cut, it seems like it's very easily back and forth, no problem, blah blah blah. But a lot of times, what you get is the game is actually coming from 3 different people. You got Andrew controlling the call that we're all on, Jim controlling the game, and me controlling the stream. So the stuff like that in how we're currently running it could be a little bit difficult, but there are always ways around it, because like I said, you got the computing power of 3 people that can actually be put together to put this together a little bit easier. So
yeah, well, really, that's the computing power of 2 people. I have no ability with computers whatsoever. I can turn them on. That's about all I can do.
Well,
And we had somebody come in today, and how did they rebroadcast our stream? How was that? Well, we had a celebrity come in and do that for us.
Yeah, that's a thing on Twitch. So Twitch has 2 things that you can do for people if you're trying to kind of like support what they're doing. One is called rating, and the other one is called streaming. Hosting. So hosting is when you don't have a show going on. And what you do is you just share that other stream, and it sends out a notification to all of your viewers saying, hey, you normally watch so-and-so's channel. They're hosting these guys. You might want to watch this too. So that's hosting. Then there's rating, which is a little more active, and that usually happens when you're either playing a game yourself or you're hosting a stream. And a lot of times for D&D folks, it's when their stream ends, and they'll say to their to their audience, hey, I'm gonna go raid so and so. So right now we have 7 people actively watching, and if somebody that we knew was running right now, we're gonna say, hey, let's go raid their channel. So what it does is it co-ops our channel, and then this all drops away, and then we all enter their channel into their chat, right? So today we had Jay Scott, Lord Gasumba, who's a very prolific Greyhawk streamer. He's a huge proponent of Greyhawk. Him and Anna Meyer, who does those beautiful Greyhawk maps. They usually broadcast 3 to 4 times a week. They came in today, and they hosted the channel, which was very kind of them, because they have a huge audience. So
and they weren't appalled at what they saw.
Yeah, I feel bad that it was me and not Jim doing it. So
no,
they gotta trip into weird life.
Yeah, we try. When I see them,
well, I mean, just value add real quick. First off, you had Carlos, who's a fairly legendary game designer for GURPS, right?
His witchcraft game was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a celebrity. You have an actual TV celebrity, in Terry Schappert, who's in Green Beret, who's pretty cool, And then you have two legends of original D&D, Errol Otis and Jim Ward. Like, how much more value do you want, like, from a show?
Yeah,
You know,
really.
geez. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of really great comments. Oh, and Terry.
I mean, the only thing we're
Please,
left from
yeah.
doing is going to Gary's grave, digging up his corpse, and throwing the head down on the table and say, "What more do you people need?"
Yeah, really.
Well, it actually then we should bid on the relic so that we can have 1 year with the relic. So that would be fun. They at Gary Con every year you get to bid on his sandals, which are called the relics. And
I thought it was just one sandal.
I think it's a single sandal.
Yeah,
now,
it's a single sandal.
And
Yeah.
it's in a box, and the high bidder for the charity, it's a Wounded Warrior Project. The high bidder for the relic for the year gets to keep the relic in a box, and it goes with you for the year. So they do have your thoughts in mind, Nick.
Yeah.
And I think we're about to have Luke on, right? Wasn't he going to come
We're
on in
gonna
March?
we're gonna have Luke on in March for sure.
Yeah, during Gary Con, he's
Yeah.
so we are one of the channels for the Friday game. We're going to be on his live stream, and he's going to play, and possibly some celebrities. So he gets a really big celebrity following at Gary Con, and so he might be inviting some people. I'll chat with him.
No actors though.
No, you don't want actors. Okay.
I'm too jealous of the actors.
Oh, so if
What
we
if Drawn's character is dead, right?
Uh,
But what if he's gone to Ravenloft?
ooh.
That's not how that works.
Why not?
I have no problem sending you all to Ravenloft, but you'll be
Yeah, that's
very
bad.
unhappy the whole time you're in there.
Oh, Ravenloft is so tough.
And Ravenloft is a one-way trip. If it's played old school, you don't come back ever. There is no.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it would
Don't
it would
come
be
back.
very interesting for any character that dies in our game to end up in Ravenloft. I don't. Maybe someone wants to at that point run those characters once we've acquired like 5 or 6 dead characters. We'll run them through
Yes.
Ravenloft.
Oh, that's
Sort
good.
of like an all-star game.
Oh, that's
You
good.
Yeah, that's no fun at all. Ravenloft, you're on the run.
Well, wait,
the
JR's got a
whole
dead
time.
character.
Yep.
JR's got a dead character, and Walt's got a dead character, and so we've almost got a team. But I think that would be fun. Is that once we acquire 5 or 6 dead characters, we have an all-star session of Ravenloft for the dead.
Okay, I'll tell you what. At
You know
Halloween
who killed
time,
my dead character?
Oh yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
right.
Jim.
yeah, at
Halloween.
Halloween, we can do
Oh.
it then. No
Yeah.
problem.
That would be really.
I was
bad.
hoping to
And
run them.
Jim's got a dead character. That's 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was hoping to run the mansion of the Mad Professor Ludlow at Halloween, but we
Make
can
us all scouts.
make you all Boy Scouts.
Yep.
I did a Dragon magazine article where a bunch of Boy
Great.
Scouts were in the woods and a horrible storm came upon them, and so they were rushing around and they saw this mansion, and they got in the mansion and horrible things started happening to them, and they realized that they had to find Professor Ludlow to get out of this terrible place, and so you adventure in a 3-level mansion, has Boy Scouts, and you have powers and abilities based on the merit badges you were trying to work on during this camp out.
It's awesome. It's great.
It's a fun little thing. I enjoy it.
It's pure
How did
torture.
you get permission to do that from BSA?
Oh, thank you very much. I didn't ask them because I never sold it.
Yeah. Not a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Besides, Boy Scouts are done.
Yeah, they got bigger fish to fry. They keep getting in trouble.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Well, congratulations, Michael, on moving your level. That was very well done. I hope you had fun
Thank you.
doing it.
Yeah, no, it was fun. That was a lot of fun.
That's the easiest you're ever going to have it, by the way. Just want you to know.
Games
Speaking
are
of,
supposed to be for us, not against us.
And having that guy come in costume, doggone you,
Yeah,
Andrew.
that was good. That
Oh,
was
our
really
members?
good.
Yeah. So the 3 guild members who were going to show up. So you had a wizard, a guy who was dressed in his wizard outfit, the monk you saw, and then one of our clerics. So if any
Well,
of
I
them-
think they've all earned a chance to come and at least play one session.
Yeah, they
together.
should do that, Andrew.
They-
Be
they-
sure they're
they-
invited.
Yeah,
I'll
we
let
should.
Eric
That was
know.
nice of them to do, and so
Yeah.
Yeah.
they should come in and let James be mean to them for a while.
I don't know what you're talking about.
funny.
I think we all know.
Texted me.
So so that way we don't end up on a 5 a.m. call like we did last week, because I was burnt last week. I got to tell you.
Are you East Coast?
Yeah, I'm East Coast. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1:30.
East Coast, Best Coast. I'm just saying.
So, what are 3 things we did right and 3 things we did wrong?
Okay.
I think JR was on fire today with good ideas.
Oh my goodness!
JR was good.
When he slammed that gate shut, I was never so proud of him in my entire life.
Well, and he kept querying the ladies for stuff. What would Werdner have for us? What would he? Yes, that was brilliant. You made A moves all night long, JR. Very impressive.
Yeah, it really did. Really did.
I failed in my desire to get James D to Dragonheart, so that was a bad
It was never going to happen.
That you pitched it was making me so happy. Love that.
Yeah.
Captain Kilgosha in the chat says, "Too much singing, not enough player death."
He's
He's got a one-track. These guys got a one-track mind as far as that goes.
they do.
That and they won.
They truly, I will say, you truly had the option for some horrible deaths. And you guys resisted. You didn't mess with the puddings. I was so excited for you to mess with the puddings.
Yeah, it seemed like bad
mess
news.
with the plant. You could have gone after the crazy Venus flytrap. I mean,
I wanted to kill it. They wouldn't let me kill it.
some horrible things that truly were all about that. Messing with the pentagram. I just had confidence that you guys were going to screw with.
Oh man, I
So-
thought hard about it, but just you saying there was a little bird in there, that's just like me putting an attractive woman in the middle of a pentagram. It's never good, never ever good.
So where did Seymour come from?
The plant.
Yeah.
The creature. So when I started going into town, SOP that Gary said when you first played, and so he helped me craft my first character, my Ranger Thief. I didn't know how to get equipment. You know, I said, well, what do you start with? And so I bought a war dog named Ralph, and he described things. And one of them was there's this whole, in this apothecary, there was this whole thing of potted plants. I had no idea what it was all about. And the option was you could get, he described a couple plants. And so you brought a plant, and then a magic user could grow the plant, or the druid could do plant control on it and just cause mayhem.
Yep.
And that was a standard thing. So when I went through Greyhawk before the event, before Jim switched it to Crimson Hawk, I bought a plant. So that's where
There you have it. Yeah, that saved my buns many a time.
Yeah.
We get into a dead end corridor, and I grow the big thorn bush, and
Yeah.
we were safe for the monster.
Right. Yeah, you got a moment. That's right. All you're doing is buying time.
Yes, exactly.
So
Exactly.
I just add a lot of graphic description to make it a little more unusual. I try and add sight and sound and things that you don't hear in a lot of games, just to give people something to puzzle on or to worry about. It creates a lot of tension. I'll take some great screenshots of the faces, because you guys had some fantastic looks at certain times, and I like that. That's my job, is to describe the environment in a way that makes people who are, I mean, everyone here is a veteran, has played really strong. And so I wanted to expose you to how hard it can be in a fast pace. So
do you pre-write out longhand the descriptions of all the scenes and whatnot, or
no,
you just...
that's all in my head.
Okay.
Yeah. All the dialogue and all the scenes are in my head. All I write down is the actual description of the room, not the actual details or what the creature's effects
You don't
are.
write down the creature powers and abilities?
No, I know them.
Wow, that's nice.
As long as I got
That's why James, he's now our judge. So when we appeal to Andrew on the rules, we're going to get a ruling.
Yeah, you might want to get a ruling, but you're not going to get a ruling.
Yeah,
I don't
there
know.
you go.
Yeah, he knows the rules. Andrew, I mean, like, I've never seen such an encyclopedic mind about
Yeah, he
D&D.
does a good job with that. He does a very good job with that.
Yeah.
Speaking
Right
of
on.
the rules, one of the things we were talking about in the back end is I was looking for, because I'm about to start DMing with some friends, the In the Search of the Unknown module, and we were going to talk about potentially getting one going on the channel as well, separate from that, where
Oh,
I would
fun.
lead it. I
That's
would
great.
lead
That's a
some
classic
people.
module.
So I'm gonna practice with my friends.
Don't you have
screw
to
it all up.
populate in search of the unknown though? Like
Yes, correct. So
Yeah.
they give you the description on the first 2 pages, and then they have you build more world building stuff after that. So it's really nicely laid. That's one of the best starting modules with some really confundus type confusion traps. Walking you through that teleport maze, which creates mapping hell. I mean, a bunch of things. And Gary did that too. He screwed you in Greyhawk.
He loved teleporters. He loved teleporters.
Couldn't map to save your life. And I thought a lot about what you had said, Jim, about forcing everyone to map. As I had timed this out, I think it would have been too hard for me to describe all the stuff over and over and over. So that's why I just decided to stick the maps up so you could at least see.
Yeah, see, you're nicer than I am. Gary never showed us maps ever.
No, I don't ever remember a map.
Yeah, so I don't show maps either. So I don't know. I sometimes think I do too many Gary things because people like to see maps, but I would like them to just draw maps,
I think the problem is in campaign play, when you do tournament timing, you don't have enough time to do it. Mapping takes so much time. And so by having a uniform map, one of the things we're working on right now is 2 really interesting softwares that map on the fly that work with Zoom.
Oh, really?
So you can literally be drawing the map while people are looking in real time. So then you could have someone map and everyone could see it in real time instead of the transfer back and forth. So
if you think about it, the pleasure of the game isn't in the mapping. The mapping should be something that everyone gets a common understanding of, because making that a challenge isn't part of the entertainment value of the game.
Well, it slows you down. And so I took to heart what Nick said, is that this is a show. And so I wanted to add some more over-the-top elements, as well as, that's the reason I have the stopwatch on my desk, is I time each segment. And so I give enough time, and if you can't answer, then I'm just going to roll over you and the monster will go again. It's not going to.
I would say this, James, like throwing up your maps would cause a lot less confusion and allow us to focus on what's going on instead of continually asking you to describe things. It might make the game faster online.
It might. I'm of 2 minds about it, though. I guess I want to do more of the theater of the mind in your heads, and so that certainly is partially describing areas like I described them now, like Gary described them.
Yeah.
Well, and did you feel like tonight that you had a good understanding of what you were looking at, or was it too fast, too vague?
No, we had 4 circles to look at. Come on, it doesn't get any easier than that.
All right, I'm just asking. I mean, was the stuff I described weird tables, I described braziers, I described crazy torches, I described desks up and down, cages, all that, it made sense to you. There was never a point where you're like, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at.
Yeah, never a problem.
Okay.
And there was like I said, no downtime. So even if there was ambiguity, it didn't matter because you had to focus on something else immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you were in the motion. That's good. Yeah. And I thought Carlos, he had some great ideas too. Don't touch. He was definitely a pwn from Aliens. Nobody touched nothing. I like that a lot.
Well, the audience seems to love him too. Yeah. We always get lots of comments about him.
Yeah, I think people had fun. That's the most important part.
Yep.
We had a lot of guests, and hopefully.
And we picked up a subscriber or 2. That's fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff going on.
I have a guy who says he's going to render the maps in 3D.
Ooh, dear Lord,
that would be fun.
One of the things as far as mapping goes that we can do. There's several different mapping softwares that we can throw up onto the streamer that we're using. So like this digital assembly board that we use to put the stream out. So as you're describing things, we can just draw the map in real time, right digitally, and it'll look like an old school 1970s, 1980s map, complete with like ink lines and hash marks and stuff like that. So if that's something that the people online would like to see, we can definitely do that as well.
The only thing better would be like stick figure battles of the original Excalibur movie, which is what Which is what I used to do
awesome.
in 7th grade. I just sit there and draw stick figure sword fights from Excalibur.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
drew race cars, but stick figure sword fights are cool too.
Stick figures storming castles, running guys through with Zweihanders. Oh yeah.
Now, see, that's where the difference lies. See, you were into cars, and now you have a dog running through your house, wrecking the hell out of it. And Nick was into stick figure sword fights, and he's walking down in the marina in some of the pictures that he's got online.
Yeah.
What's funny? The only thing I ever drew when I was a kid, all the time, was a beholder. I don't know why, but I always drew the beholder.
Really?
You make
No
a lot more
waterfall,
sense
no
now.
waterfall. That's our rule.
Yeah, he makes a lot more sense now. Yep, absolutely. So we want to thank the chat for coming out tonight, hanging out a little bit, and sharing some time with us. Apparently, I don't know. I think Dron might move to Ravenloft. I don't know. We'll we'll have to see if he brings the Light of Horus back that way. I got to tell you too that if you go to the Facebook group, you can see just that video of Dron buying it and some of the cast reaction, which was really awesome. And as a side note, starting on this Monday, it will be at noon Eastern time. We have our first spin-off show that is opening up. So it's called the Lunchtime Test Drive. Where one of my friends from a different podcast, Mr. Mike Lafferty from the Banff podcast, is going to.
Mike.
Yeah, Mike's good people. He's going to host a bi-weekly show where he brings on a game designer with a new and upcoming game, and we get to sit down for anywhere between 45 to 90 minutes and play a couple of sessions. So
That's cool.
yeah, it's yes. Cool. So that's going to be this Monday. The name of the game, which is funny because you guys mentioned Ravenloft, is The Monsters Are Our Heroes, where you get to play all of the universal monsters, the vampire, the wolfman, the creature from the Black Lagoon kind of deal. We got the pre-gens the other day, and those are a lot of fun. I'm leaning toward the Invisible Man because who doesn't want to run through the streets naked slapping people? So that should be a lot of fun. That's going to be noon Eastern on Monday, and that, like I said, that's going to be one of our first spin-off shows, and we have a lot more in store. So stay tuned.
How awesome would it be if Tim Burton made a claymation D&D movie?
That would be epic.
That would be very twisted. Very twisted.
What? He needs to be panel man tonight. Just take him to a Riverside, make this movie. It's D&D with your puppets.
Right on. Thanks again for coming out, guys. And we're Sci-Fi
Good
Writers
night.
playing old school D&D. Cheers.